everyone, this is Zach from ZAK Entertainment. I decided to make this video to show off some of my knitting projects I'm doing. But now, I'm a beginner knitter. I started like 3 weeks ago now. But I've been learning pretty fast. My mom's been teaching me and helping me along. And I've been doing pretty good. A few mistakes here and there, but good. I'm working on this, well, if you've been, I run a blog where I post about my life interests and hobbies, and one of the topics on there is knitting, and I've been talking about my projects quite a bit on there over the past few weeks. I'm currently working on a baby blanket for my little brother. I've been working on this dishcloth and some other projects. But I'm currently working on this Crazy 8 dishcloth. It's I'm using a pattern by Julie Tarsha from Simply Notable. It's a pretty big blog. She's also on Ravelry, so you can check her out on there if you want the pattern. I'll have all the links in the description. I've gotten pretty far on this. I got 5 sections done. I just finished the 5th section. I'm going to be showing you the process of making a section, because there's a thing you got to do in this called short rows, where basically you knit all the way to the end, but you leave this last stitch here. I'm going to show you how to do that. So before you start, please use stitch markers. I made the mistake when I first did this first one, because this is the second one I'm making. I'm making a matching set. This is the first one I made. Now it looks great. In the beginning, though, I made a big mistake. When I was making a section, apparently I forgot to turn sometimes, so it was actually it was supposed to curve like a circle. It was actually going the other way. It was a big boo-boo, but I fixed it, and this is the finished product. Before you start this project, please make sure you have a stitch marker and don't make the same mistake I did. We're gonna put the stitch marker on this last one, and that way we know to leave this one and then turn. So we're just gonna start. Basically, you just knit like normal. You just do a normal knit all the way down to the end. Oh, I'm using Peaches and Cream. It's a cotton. It's a medium finger 4-ply. I'm new to all these terminologies, so I hope so. If you want the full whacked out, all the weights in that, I'll have the link to my project on Ravelry, and you can find it all out on there. Or you can also read the blog post I made on the first dishcloth I made. That has all the information on it. Now this is my first time using cotton. It's a bit fiddly. Then again, I'm fiddly because I'm a brand new knitter. I've been knitting for 3 weeks, like I said. These are US 8 circlet needles, which is 5 millimeters and 6 UK. So yeah, these are the kind of needles I'm using. The pattern says 7, but my mom told me to use 8 because I have a very tight gauge, and I have been loosening up a bit, but in the beginning my stitches were so tight it was not good. I've loosened up a bit. Well, I hope I've loosened up a bit anyway. So we're just about finished on this one row. I also make this mistake a lot. I accidentally put it through the wrong loop, or I split the yarn. It's kind of easy to do that on this yarn. Okay, so we're at the end. Now I'm just going to make this one last stitch. And you see, we're going to leave this right here. We're going to leave this stitch, and we're going to turn and then knit all the way down to the end of this, making sure your yarn's over on this side. I'm gonna knit all the way to the end of this row. Now, I decided to use this color. This is Peaches and Cream Shades of Rust, because I thought it kind of looked autumny, like autumn colors, Thanksgiving colors, and for the most part it does. It says it's Shades of Rust, but I think it's more of an autumny color. I've actually these are supposed to be dishcloths, but I've actually ended up using these as doilies, which is funny. That it's not what they were supposed to be, but it ended up coming out so good, and I was playing around with it on the table, like putting candles on it, and all. I realized these make really good doilies. So we're gonna knit all the way to the end, and I'm not a super fast knitter. I'm still if I can go fast, but the chances of me dropping stitches are very high when I knit fast. Okay, that row's done. We're gonna repeat what we did the first time, but instead of going to the last one here, we're gonna leave 2 on the end, and these are called short rows. Well, a form of short row anyway. And this is what's going to give this dishcloth its round shape and its pattern. See, please don't forget the stitch marker, because otherwise you might forget to turn. I'm warning you now, I've already made this mistake twice. Okay, so it seems like my stitches are still kind of tight. I'm still kind of fiddly. I'm still learning how to properly move these needles in and out. I'm very awkward, I think. Now, I'm actually working on a different dishcloth as well right now, and I will show you that later. It's a simple dishcloth. It's a square dishcloth, but it actually requires you to purl. So a couple nights ago I learned how to purl, and yeah, I know how to purl now. Oh, thanks, Monty. So if you want to know what that little interruption was about, I have a bird, and he's a loud bird. He's a big bird, and he likes to make noise and annoy me because he's a big budgie. Anyway, yeah, I'm working on another dishcloth right now. It's a simple dishcloth. It requires you to purl, and well, the outside rib is just plain knitting, but once you get to the middle part, it requires you to those are my other birds. They're also noisy. I have birds everywhere. I gotta admit, I'm actually nervous doing this video. I don't know why. Don't ask me. It's probably because this is my first time doing a knitting video. I'm not trying to be I'm not admitting to being a professional with years of experience. I am a beginner knitter with 3 weeks of experience, so I'm actually not doing bad for someone with 3 weeks experience. Now, normally, I recommend when you get to this part, you immediately move this up 1, because otherwise you might think, oh, you're supposed to leave it this one. No, we're actually going to be leaving this one. So really, you should really move this up 1 as soon as you can, just to keep track of it. If you're experienced, you probably don't need this, but I do, because otherwise I lose track and I make big mistakes, which you can see that on my blog. I show it off, and yeah, I had to unpick the whole lot twice because I made the same mistake again. It was on the 4th row. I didn't turn, so I ended up going the other way. I had unpicked the whole lot, and then 2 sections later, I do it again, and I have to unpick the whole lot. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows done now. We're gonna keep doing this, and once we get to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th stitch, this is where we will do back and forth. I'll show you. You will see what I mean once we get there. Now, make sure your stitches don't have them too close to the edge, but it's a lot easier if you have them up here. That way you can slip them off with ease. Especially because this is cotton, and I started off using acrylic, and moving on to cotton feels a lot different. Okay, so we're gonna be leaving this last one here again. It's just, you just keep doing this, and then at the end, when you leave 8 on the end, then you knit back and forth, and you just continue on repeating. Now, there are 8 sections total in this. You have to repeat this process. If you're starting from the beginning, you have to repeat this process 7 times after you beat. Did I just say after you beat? Okay, I also play video games, so now I'm mixing my terminology up here. I am so sorry for that. Beaten. This is like, so, this is a video game and you're a knitter. Excuse me if I accidentally do that. Yeah, you have to, there's 8 sections total, and at the end you sew it together. I may actually do another video showing me sewing it all together and finishing it off. Because I'm currently on the 6th section. This is the 6th section. I've done 6 repeats. After this, I have to do 2 more, and then I can sew it all together and call it done. And I will have my second autumn dishcloth. I'm calling them autumn dishcloths because they look autumny, and we're going to be using them as doilies for Thanksgiving because I don't know. I didn't want to use it as a dishcloth because I didn't want it to get ruined, and it looks so good. I'm so proud of my first finished project. I didn't think that I would be able to make a finished project and have it look pretty decent. Because look, you can't see any flaws in it or anything. I'm very surprised at how fast I'm learning. Yeah, I actually just knitted. I was working on this in the car. I wasn't actually driving, so don't worry. I wasn't driving and knitting. That's not good. But I was in the car, and we were on a trip, and I was knitting, and I thought it would be really hard, but I actually ended up doing 3 sections of this in the car with ease, and I only took, and it probably distracted me from all the scenery, but I got 3 sections done. Okay, so we're gonna turn again. I can get that off there. Turn again. And make sure that your yarn is over on the back before you put your thing for the hoop here, your needle for the hoop, because otherwise you're going to get all tangled up. Now, these are 2 ounce hulls of yarn. It's, I used about 1 ounce on the first one. I weighed it afterwards, and I had 1 ounce .11 left. So it seems like you can make 2 of these kinds of dishcloths out of 1 ball of these peaches and cream yarns. Hopefully I won't run out of yarn. I don't think I will. I'm almost done, so I may have a lot more left over. Now, my mom just slipped me hers. She was knitting at the same time I was recording this, and this is her Crazy 8 dishcloth. This is using candy sprinkles yarn, and yeah, she was knitting. Mom was knitting in the background as I was doing this. You can actually tell that Mom's is actually a lot bigger than this one, because on this one my gauge was really tight. I was pulling my yarn too tight. I believe I'm fixing it with this one. My gauge is a lot looser, so this should end up looking more like this, this is probably how it's supposed to look. This is actually really pretty. It looks like a candy mint. Like you'd stick this in your mouth, but you wouldn't actually stick it in your mouth because it's yarn, and that would be gross, and you wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, there's that's actually a lot bigger. I realize that's actually a lot bigger than mine.
Same size needle.
It's the same size needle. Mom was using the same size needles, US 8, but my gauge on this was so tight, probably too tight, to the point that it was shrunk. See, I even have this little dip thing right here. See, this is definitely not perfect by any means. I got this little dip here. And Mom's one doesn't actually have the dip at all. No dip. Okay, so back on this, we're on the, I don't know what row it is actually, but we have to leave the 5th one on the end. Now we're going to move our stitch marker up 1. So we're going to start on the next row now. We're going to leave 5 on the end this time. And we're almost there. We're almost done with this section. We're about halfway done on this section now. Plans for the future. I have some... After I finish these dishcloths, I actually want to have a go at making a beanie hat. It's gonna introduce me to some new things like decreasing or increasing. It depends on which way you do it. The way I'm gonna be doing it's probably gonna be decreasing. Yeah, decreasing. Some other plans I want to do. I want to make some little knitted toys for my dogs. Now, if you've been following my blog, you know I have a Chihuahua, a Poodle, and a Basset Hound, and they are desperate for some new toys this Christmas. So I think I'm gonna knit up some little toy puppies for them. Another thing I want to have a go at, I want to eventually make a pair of socks. That's gonna be kind of more in the future. May not even get to it this year. But yeah, I want to have a go at making some socks. I want to have a go at the whole lot, like different stitches, different everything. I want to try everything, and maybe one day I will find my niche and make more of that in that area. Like maybe I will enjoy making hats all the time, or maybe I will enjoy making dishcloths all the time. We're gonna turn this back around now. We're gonna move our stitch marker up, which I've not been following my own advice. I'm supposed to be moving this up before I get to this part. One thing that I've noticed is sometimes these cables bug me. This is my first time using a cable needle. My first project I started was also using cable needles, but they didn't seem to bug me as much as this. No, I actually have a little story. This is not my... I know I officially began knitting 3 weeks ago, but actually years and years and years and years ago, when I was like 6 or 8 years old, I actually did try knitting then, I actually had a scarf that I was trying. My mom gave me these straight needles and I was making a scarf. But I don't know whether it was because I was a kid or I lost concentration or what, but I kind of just gave it up. I never touched it again for years until now. I knew how to do like straight stitching and I was actually getting pretty good at it, but I guess I just gave up because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know how younger me thought. I can't comprehend what I did back then sometimes. I kind of wish I did keep it up because I would actually be pretty experienced by now if I did. I would be doing like sweaters and all sorts of cool stuff right now, which I do want to get to in the future, and maybe next year I can actually start working on more bigger items, but for this year it's gonna be small items because I have to start small and I have to work my way up and learn all these stitches and that. Now, okay, we're getting to the nitty gritty part. We're on the 8th. We're gonna be leaving the 8th stitch on the end. Now, we're gonna do it like normal, but there's some extra things we have to do at the end to finish off the section. Now, instead of knitting back to, we don't knit to the 9th one and leave it. We're actually gonna take the stitch marker off, and we're gonna do another full row of knitting, just straight knitting, go all the way down to the end here, and then we're gonna go all the way back to this end. And that will end off our section. If you've been reading my blog, which you've probably come to this video from my blog, now I have my own knit yarn stash now. I have my mom let me into her knit stash, which I have no idea how I was able to con her into letting me in there. I didn't say anything, but mom let me in there anyway to see all her yarn and all that. Mom gave me some yarn to start my own stash, which I have my own bag with all my yarn and that in it. I have quite a lot of different types of yarn in that, which I'm gonna use for different projects. I want to try Colorworks, which I want to actually try Colorworks this year, but I might be jumping kind of bit. I don't know. An idea I have was I play, like I mentioned before, I play video games sometimes, well, all the time, and I have a 3DS, so I was thinking of making a 3DS case cover thing using Colorworks. And I don't know how I'll do it. I might not even get to it this year because I need to not jump the gun on what I'm learning. We're gonna turn now, and this is what I don't like about cable. I assume I will eventually get used to it, but right now it's annoying. And now once we get to the end of this, we can call this section done and then move on to the next section. Now this is what you would be doing in the beginning, but in the beginning, on the very first section, you have to cast on 16 stitches first, and then knit a whole row, and then knit to the last one. But then after that, you don't have to do that on the next section. Once you finish one section, you just knit to the end one again, and then repeat and repeat and repeat. Alright, that's... Oh, see, I did it again. This happens a lot on the end with this yarn. That is it. That's not... it's not completed, but I have a new section done. This was the 6th section. Now you would... as it is right now, you would do 2 more sections, and then you'd sew it together. I might do another video later showing that when I get that far. But yeah, that's how you do a whole section, and then you just rinse and repeat pretty much. That's it, and it's this is my first one. actually a lot bigger than my last one. So my stitches are actually getting pretty, are actually loosening up a bit. Okay, so I said I was going to show off my other project I was working on. This is also a dishcloth, but it's a simple dishcloth. And the pattern is by Spinfoolish. I'll have the link in the description to my project on Ravelry and her pattern. Yeah, this requires you to purl, where you do 4 rows in the beginning for the where you cast on 45. You knit 4 rows, and then you start. And then you knit on the 5th row, you knit 5 normal stitches, but then you start purling, which this was my first time purling. I have never purled before, ever. But my stitches are actually pretty tidy. I've been keeping it pretty tidy. This is a stockinette stitch, which means I purl 1 row, and then I knit 1 row back, and then back and forth, back and forth. I'm using straight needles on this one. I thought I would try straight needles, and I thought being that it's a square dishcloth, it'd be a lot better to use straight. This is actually a US 8, just like this, but it feels a lot different, mainly because it's metal and the fact that it's straight. But I actually have stitch markers here and one here. These indicate where I have, like on the knit and purl rows, this indicates where I stop knitting, and this indicates where I stop knitting and when I begin purling, and this indicates where I stop purling and become knitting. So yeah, I could go ahead and do a row on this. I believe I'm on a knit and purl row, so yeah. I also got this. This is how I'm keeping track of my rows. It's got numbers on it, and you just move up and down. Purling is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. I thought it would be so frustrating, but it's actually very easy, and I've gotten used to it very quickly. It's becoming second nature to me almost now. So yeah, we're gonna start by knitting. We're gonna do making sure that stitch marker hoops over to here. Now we're gonna move our yarn over here, which, by the way, this yarn is also peaches and cream, but it's a Yuletide one, so it's got a very Christmassy look to it. I thought I'd make a Christmas dishcloth. This is the wrong side of it. This is the right side. That's the wrong side. We're gonna start purling now. So instead of doing, hopefully you can see this. Instead of doing this, we're gonna do that. Wrapping it around like that. And we're just gonna pull the needle through like this. And then, boom. That's a purl. That's a proper purl. That's not what I did the first time. And we're just gonna purl. Hold on. We're just going to purl all the way down to this stitch marker I have placed here. Now this is a much longer dishcloth. This is 45 stitches on 1 row. So you're doing 5 knit, 35 purl, and then 5 knit again. I actually really enjoy this pattern. It keeps it interesting. Instead of just doing knit, knit, knit all the time, this is switching up a bit and having you do knit, purl, which keeps keeping it pretty interesting. I actually really enjoy purling. I thought it would be completely difficult and that I would not be good at it, but I've actually been keeping my stitches very, even and tidy. I decided to make this a Christmas themed dishcloth because Christmas is like what, 3 months away now? Yeah, 3 months away now. So better start now. I'm probably gonna be finished with this way before Christmas because I put a lot of hours into knitting. Apparently, I lose track of time doing it, and so this dishcloth will probably be done in like a week or two, and my round dishcloth will probably be done by the end of the week. I don't know. It depends on how much I get done. Okay, we're almost at the stitch marker. And my needle from my other project just dropped. Oops. I'm getting all tangled up here. Do not get tangled up because it's not easy to untangle. Okay, so I think I fixed my little error. Sorry about the cut there, but I made a error there somewhere. And I had to unpick it and then redo it. See, I'm definitely not flawless. I've only been doing this for a week now. Okay, I'm back to where I was. No more errors, I hope. Now we're gonna move this yarn back over here, and we're gonna do normal knits all the way to the end. In view of the camera, I wasn't looking at the viewfinder there for a minute. Oops. I'm gonna knit to the end here, and then boom. Okay. Now we're just gonna now you're just gonna rinse and repeat until it's long enough. I don't know how long I'm gonna make this. I can make it a square, I can make it a rectangle, I don't know at the moment. If I want to make it a normal square, I'm kind of like halfway done here. After you've done this, you do a complete knit. On row 2 you do a complete knit across, no purling. But then you repeat it, and then do your purl row. So this is how I'm keeping track of that. Okay, so that's currently what I'm working on. I've showed you how to do a section on here, and yeah, that's about it. You can check out the blog post I'm going to be posting alongside this at zakentertainment.blogspot.com, but that stuff would be on the screen and in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video and on the next blog.